Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad you're joining us for our show again this week. We're always happy for people like you, people that are interested in the issues that are happening in our city. Because for good government, it takes mayors, city council people, and residents and staff all working together for the city. So we're glad that you're interested in what's happening. If you haven't watched our show before, each week we'll have someone on from one of the 9 cities in CCX's viewing area. And we'll be learning about what are the issues that are happening in that particular city. And we do encourage you, if it's your city, to take down the mayor or the council person's name, phone number, email, and so that you can be in contact with them if there's some issues that are of real importance to you. And we're very happy tonight to welcome Duane Poppe to our show,
Thank
the
you.
mayor of Osseo.
Thank you.
Back again.
Yes, always a pleasure. Thank you.
So we're always glad to have you on and let us know what's happening up in the far northwest corner of our area.
Yep.
And you've been on before, so you know that I'd like you to introduce yourself out to our wider audience. Osseo people would know who you are, but some of the other cities might not.
Yeah, well, my name again is Duane Poppe. I'm the mayor of the city of Osseo. Just got reelected for my 3rd term. Was on the council for 3 years, and then 2 terms as mayor, so 7. So now 2 more years for in the city of Osseo. I've lived there since '99. So you know, we've been there 17 years with my wife and 3 children. And then my day job, I'm the managing principal of a commercial real estate firm, Lee & Associates, here in the Twin Cities. So.
And that gives you a lot of good experience that helps your city, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, a lot of on the development side, and you know, trying to do some on the financial side as well. So.
And then I'd ask you to think about what are issues that citizens bring to you. What are the kinds of things you hear from people?
Oh, we hear everything.
Lots of different things.
Yes,
right?
you know, I mean, a lot of it from. You know, somebody's weeds are too long, or a barking dog, to you know, some serious issues about the budget. So yeah, we get quite a few conversations started. But I mean, it's all part of the job, and helps better government by listening to people's concerns. So
yeah, there can be ones that are humorous and ones that are very serious, right?
Yes.
And everything in between.
Oh yes, yes.
Now, you mentioned the comprehensive plan, and this is the period of time when all of our cities are having to redo their comprehensive plan. So it's going to be a plan for 2040, right?
Correct.
And it's done every 10 years, so it kind of goes along with the censuses.
Yep.
And what does this next update need to be submitted? When do you have to get it done by? Because you're already working on it, I know.
Yeah, by the end of 18 we have to have it submitted. So, and you know, we just had a community event on the 28th of January, you know, from 6 to 8 at the community center, and it was kind of a 2-hour process of asking a lot of questions and, you know, putting stickers on a map and just, you know, what do you want to see where and what, and, you know, from the council's perspective, it's, you know, we'll have enough time to have input. You know, now it's gather all the residents and business owners and what they want, and for us, it's sit back and listen time. Right. And I mean, understand, you know, kind of what people want and, you know, hope to see in the future, and then from there we take that information, and I mean, there's a lot of other. I mean, between the water and the storm sewer, and I mean, rivers and groundwater. I mean, all these studies that get piled into this thing, and then once it's produced, then we have to submit it as everyone else to their neighbors. So it goes to Maple Grove, it goes to Brooklyn Park, it goes to Champlin, it goes. I mean, so everybody around you, and so this is all happening. So once it's all the info is compiled, then everybody reviews it, makes their changes to see if things line up between their, you know, the city borders, and if that's kind of what, so nobody's kind of surprised by anything. And also, I mean, for the Met Council, it helps determine where sewer and water and sanitary is going. So, I mean, to be able to have controlled growth and understand, you know, what cities are thinking going forward to help with their planning. So, once that's done, and then we make the final changes and then submit it. So it's a process.
And so there's a lot of work that's going to be happening up
Yeah.
until the end of 2018
Yeah,
when
2
you
years
turned
worth.
it in. Now, there's a lot of different areas, and I thought maybe you could just briefly tell about each one. Because I went digging in the computer to see all the different things that are there, but one of them is land use. So what does that mean to Osseo?
Yeah, what land use is, that just means, how are you using them,
Okay.
kind of like zoning.
Okay.
How do you project, because you have kind of your future land use. I mean, it may be zoned agriculture today, but based on your comp plan, it's going to be residential or
Okay.
commercial or
Okay.
some other use. So it's, what is your land use going to be in the future, and what do you hope to? And for Osseo, I mean, not a lot will be able to change just because we are what we are.
Oh, right,
You know,
right.
we can redevelop some things in the core, but then the rest of it is residential, and
Right.
we're always looking for ways to increase the tax base. But,
Oh, definitely.
but our land uses for our city won't probably change all that much.
And then the next area that they talk about is housing.
Yep, housing again. That's a number that is used for the Met Council to see where, for their sanitary and water system.
Okay.
To see how big it needs to be. Your main distribution trunks,
Right.
and how that's going to be fed out. If in this area, if you're going to build 2,000 homes, and in this area you're going to build 4 apartments. In this area you're going to do this. Where again in Osseo we've got limited. There's some areas that we'll probably put up some more apartments.
Okay.
Maybe some redevelopment here. And for us it's, our numbers are probably going to not move a whole lot.
Okay.
But always looking for those opportunities.
Well, and the Met Council is looking to increase the density of some areas, right?
Yeah, they want around nodes, whether it be train stops or freeway systems. They want to be able to build density along those,
Right.
For access.
And then an area of transportation. How does this affect Osseo?
We'll be off the light rail
Uh-huh.
stop. Once it eventually comes up through Brooklyn Park, so that'll run up Broadway. So I mean, we've got connector streets back into Osseo, so people can bike or walk to the train station. Over the new overpass over
Right.
169. So I mean, that's part of the whole kind of plug-in and how does it all work, and making sure that everybody, all the pieces connect.
Right, right. And that people can access that kind of thing. Now, your parks and trails and recreation, open space, what kinds of things there?
Yeah, you're looking at all the parks and how big they are, what they're going to be, and the connectivity piece is, you have the regional bike trail that comes up, basically along 81.
Oh, right, right.
And then it kind of comes up on the south and kind of leaves from Osseo north into Elm Creek, and then from there you can get over to the Coon Rapids Dam.
Right.
And we've got this missing section, up 81 through Osseo, kind of 169, 85th. I mean, that whole
Right.
there hasn't been a good solution there.
Yeah, right.
yet,
right.
So I mean, it's not like you're going to have your family biking through that whole area
No.
at the stop. So that one area that we're looking at, and that's
sure.
part of the comp plan, is how do we move people through there safely to connect the parks, because everyone likes to jump on their bikes and bike from
Right.
park to park with the family, and take advantage of those
Oh,
few
definitely.
nice summer days here in Minnesota.
That we're looking forward
Yes.
to, right? At this time of year,
Yep.
especially. Okay, and surface water, what are they concerned about?
Surface
in
water, we don't
Osseo?
have a whole lot of that. I mean, that's
Okay.
a lot of streams, lakes, rivers.
Okay.
Most of our stuff is, for us, it's what do we do with the rainwater, and make sure that enough of it gets back in the ground
Right.
and it isn't all swept away in the storm sewers. I mean, so there's, retention ponds, and there's some different areas we've done with the development with the aggregate and the parking lots to be able to allow more groundwater
right,
back in the
right,
ground, because that's
right.
really the key. Is you don't want all this, concrete and asphalt that all
Right.
the rainwater runs in the storm sewers and gets out of you. Got to
Right.
feed the groundwater.
Yeah, so it goes down into the aquifers and keeps them going. And then, what does Osseo's water supply, and how are you looking for the future on that?
For our water supply, we get it from Maple Grove.
Okay.
So I mean, we're again, yeah. I mean, we were a number of years ago when our water was, bad. And we don't have the room for a water treatment facility within our city boundaries. And it's pretty expensive to build and then maintain and staff it. And at that time, that was before I was around, but the decision was made that we were going to get our water from Maple Grove. So that was a number of years ago. So we're hooked up to the Maple Grove water system, and we pay for our water.
Works well for you.
Yeah.
So that one you don't have to do a lot on.
Correct.
And then sanitary sewer?
Again,
that's pretty much built up already, isn't it?
Yep. Other than we've upgraded our system. Last year when we built the apartment project, we redid a new sanitary sewer line, the main line, because the old line was too small. So we put a new sleeve in it, expanded it, and then expanded a new trunk. So that's something we're always trying to figure out is sanitary. Got to move the waste.
Oh, right. Yeah, you can't keep going without doing that. And how do residents learn, because you're gathering input from them, and you will over this whole period of time, right? How can they learn about what's in your comprehensive plan right now?
Right on the planning tab of the website.
Okay.
It gives updates, and there's the old plan, the 2030 plan is on there, so maybe people can kind of see what that was. And there's a place on that tab. It's called My Sidewalk, and that's something put together that cities have, and where a lot of the updates and what's going on, so people can click on there and get different. It's almost like a Twitter feed of updates and what's going on. So there's kind of more active participation on that site. So, but it's under the planning tab of the city website, all that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information for people that want it. So we'll encourage people out there to, if they're concerned about the city and the future and where they're headed, to start there.
Correct.
Start on your website.
Correct.
And then you'll probably have some more opportunities for input for people?
Oh yeah, there'll be a number of them. And then always on My Sidewalk too, there's places for people that had comments that can't attend the meeting, so we're gathering those online input too, if that's easier for people.
And then you have a steering committee of citizens working on that project?
It's citizens, business owners, and we actually have students from the high school on that. So again, it's trying to get as broad and every group of or type of people involved to get different with different input, because ultimately the more diverse perspectives you have, the better your decision is, because it's somewhere in the middle. So the more people you can have with a differing viewpoint, the better decision will be.
And so people will be hearing about this over the next couple of years, right?
Yeah.
But you want them to get involved.
Exactly.
So we'll encourage you out there to take time, look on the website, gather the planning tab, right?
Correct.
Is where you can hook in, and then share your ideas and your thoughts.
Correct.
Now, all of our cities adopted their budgets last month in December, and I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about what were the priorities that the City Council has put into place in the budget for 2017 now. What were your underlying priorities as you were developing the budget that you just passed?
Again, a lot of it was the long-range planning and putting the city in a firm financial position going forward, which it's been that we've taken the steps and increased our bond rating, and so it's cheaper money for us, and really have spent a lot of time on that to get it to where it is today. And we had an increase in our budget. It was about 6%.
Okay.
But if you break it down, basically it was IT support, because we're too small. We don't have an IT person, so we have an outside company. That police wages, public safety, and then our step to continue to put more money in our capital improvement. And that's our long range planning for all of our streets, roads, fire trucks, cop car, everything, public works vehicles, everything's in that. And because we made a decision, this a number of years ago, is because LGA, local government aid, is a big part of our budget. And we said we need to take the necessary steps over time that we run the city on the taxes that we receive.
Right.
And then all of our LGA, the goal is then gets put into the capital plan. So we've kind of continually tweaked the budget,
Right.
and there's been some increases because we're slowly getting to the point so we can take all that LGA, move it into our
Right.
capital, and run our city on what we can collect in taxes. That way, if LGA, if and probably someday going to go away.
Yeah,
that-
it goes up and
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
For sure.
It wasn't ever a dollar value you could count
Right.
on. It's just we put it in the funds, and then if things need to get stretched a year or two
Oh,
to
right.
be able to get that money. But it's a way for us to, to do better planning and be out in front of some of these decisions rather than just bonding for it and kind of playing catch up.
And you've been doing a lot of work on that over the period of time that you've been on the council, right?
Yeah, it's been 2 years building it. So
Right, right.
We've been using it. It becomes the Bible.
Now, how did what was the tax levy then that you did?
The tax levy actually went down because we were able to, some of our debt we refinanced and retired some of it. So the tax rate will go down, it's about 2%.
Okay.
So if your value of your home stayed, you should see a slight reduction, but of course everyone's values are going up, so of course you'll pay more in taxes. But if you look at it from a city's perspective as residents out there, all you can ask is your city is to control your expenses and keep your city cost as low as you can, because you also have county and you have school district.
Oh, definitely.
So the city doesn't control those. It only, as long as the city's controlling their cost to you, and then the value of your home is your value of your home. So that'll go up, you'll pay more tax, but you just have to look at what is the tax rate, and ours went down.
And then the tax rate for the cities is only about, what, roughly a third?
About a third.
About a third of your property
Total tax
taxes
bill,
go to the city.
Correct.
So always want to point that out to people.
Yes. Yeah, it's not all our tax.
Right. You're not putting all of that on. Now, you're at the beginning stages because the budget gets passed in December, and you almost start right over again on working out what you're going to do for the next year, right?
Yeah, we're already planning with the, we just had a work session and we reviewed, we've already met with each of the heads of the departments and kind of their wish list and what they want, and be able to plug that into the plan over the next 12 years. We've pushed it out 12 years to be able to account for some of this stuff. And then now this is kind of everything we want. Now let's look at the numbers and see what can we get and what can we accomplish, and without overburdening people, and still be able to provide the services that they need. And now becomes, between now and through the summer really is kind of massaging it, and then we come in September and give our estimates and then finalize in December. So it happens quick.
Well, there's a lot of weighing and balancing, because there is a certain group of people that always complain about tax levies, right? But they also want the services.
Correct.
So part of it is probably that people feel you're doing a good job spending the taxes, right?
Yeah, that's we always look at. You take it to heart, and it's really kind of. I always feel like it's okay. How am I spending? These. My money, everyone's money, and trying to really be prudent with it, and not be wasteful. And that's really kind of the key is how can we get this done, and how can we be the most cost-effective way to do it. So in saying, is there a different way we can do it, or is there is there technology, is there shared services, is there something that maybe it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's going to save us money. So we're always looking at different ways to deliver services to people.
And then that people then sharing those with your citizens so they know what's happening.
Correct.
We'll get an update on your water tower, because that's the thing that really identifies you. There's Osseo, and it's been there for a long time, right? It's very visible.
Correct.
And maybe you could tell us about what's happening in determining its future, because we've talked about it before, but what's the current stage?
Yeah, the water tower is over 100 years old. Was 1915. So, in 2015 it was 100 years old. So,
Right.
and at that time it was kind of funny. They had a big town festival around it. And it was everybody from miles around came, and they said it was, unlike any festival, Northwest Hennepin County has seen.
Right.
And it was, for the fire and everything. And so it's really been part of the city for a long time,
definitely.
and really kind of put the city on the map way back when. And when they were the only fire department around, that they would go to Plymouth, they'd go to Maple Grove, they'd go to Brooklyn Park, and it was all out of Osseo. So it was obviously abandoned now that we have our water from Maple Grove.
Right.
So they're just sitting there,
Right.
and but it is such a part of our community that we looked at. What does it need? So we did some structural studies on it and tried to understand, what does it need? How much is it going to need? It needs new paint. There's all these things. So we started on the process to put it on the National Historic Register. And had to get different studies and different steps along the way to get it to that point. So now we're to the point now is in March. It goes in front of the review board, and to see if it can be placed on the National Historic Register. And really, the goal of that is everything that our consultants have told us is that it allow you to have an opportunity for more grant money, and some different funds that may not be available if it's not on that list.
Right.
So and we made pretty clear with the consultants and the people from the state that represent, the state registration as long as with the national. We said, well, if we put it on, we can remove it as easy, because we said, you see some of the stuff, and we said we don't want that headache of, if we can't find the funding, we're not. We can't afford to keep it up. And that's the harsh reality of it. We're trying everything we can. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to people want to pay for it if we can't find the money.
So the process, and it was kind of a complicated process, wasn't it? Because there's a historic preservation office that has to nominate it, right?
Correct.
And then it has to go. It's going to go to the National Register of Historic Places ultimately, but there's a state review board that reviews input that Osceo's gathered together to submit it.
Yep, through a consultant, and she's written the report.
And then it's part of the national park system if it is, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing that we've made clear is, what can we do to it? And that really becomes, if we can get to that point and we can find the funding, is, how can we really make it a showpiece, whether it be, putting lights on it, repainting it, and really branding it. So, you can see it from 169, 610, 81. Kind of the beacon and for people to find their way home.
Well, and I could see where the important thing is getting the funding, and you don't want to take it away from your streets and road and water and stuff, right? So.
That's that fine balancing act.
So you'll find out, when did you say?
In March.
Okay, so it's moving towards a conclusion on the historic part.
Correct.
Then there's another whole process that has to be gone
obtaining
through.
grant money, yes.
Right, and figuring what
and
to
understanding,
do next.
and planning for, future upgrades.
Right.
So.
And then I thought, because of the time of year particularly, is that you have a number of commissions where people can apply and become more involved in what's happening in the city. What voluntary commissions does Osseo have?
Oh, we've had a number of them. I know Heritage Preservation
Okay.
is looking for a couple of members. You have Public Safety Advisory that meets with the police, the fire, understanding public safety related issues. There's some positions open there. We have obviously the Planning Commission. We've got EDA that we discussed. Council. We've got Park and Rec now.
Right.
We've got a lot of the stuff with the comp plan. So there's a lot of different ways for people to get involved, and obviously all the meetings are open to public. So come give your input. We love it when people come to the meetings. We like it when it's a packed house and people have something to say.
Right. So that Now, you're in the middle of, or at the point where you're adding people to the different commissions? Now, obviously, if people drop off during the year, you have to add them
Correct.
on too. But this is the time of year when you tend to do changeovers?
We've made citizens appointments
Okay.
in January. In our last meeting, the first meeting in January, those submissions were accepted. They wrote letters to the city hall.
Okay.
And we sifted through all those, and just actually last meeting we named the final person for the EDA.
Okay.
So that those positions are filled. And like I said, heritage and public safety, we still have some
But now,
positions
I
open.
thought we could tell people out in the audience, and this would be true for the other cities as well as for Osseo, is that it would be a good time to start learning about what the different commissions do. Now, people sometimes have more time in their lives to give to volunteer things and sometimes less.
Correct.
So we want to encourage people, when you're starting to get some time and you're wanting to give back to your community, that the commissions are a very good way to do so.
Correct, yeah. I mean, and also it just helps you better understand kind of the city
Right,
process and the way
right.
things get done, and kind of the steps that are involved, and not as time intensive as a council
Right,
position
right.
would be.
Because now all of these groups, do they all meet monthly?
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
some quarterly, some
Okay.
as needed.
Right.
So I mean it really kind of depends.
So people could get into the process of finding out what these groups actually do by going to their meetings.
Sure. Yeah, they're all open to the public.
Because they're all open, so if you're thinking about getting involved, look at what the commissions are in your city, if you're in Osseo, and then take some time to learn more about them. Now, all of their minutes and agendas are also on your website, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of information there, but probably one of the easier ways is just to go sit in on a meeting, I think.
Yeah,
myself.
I mean, and that's go with something you have an interest in.
Right, right.
And something that you feel that you can add some value to.
Right. Yeah, that your background fits
Correct.
with that particular.
Correct. And as you go into it, I mean, with an open mind and not an agenda.
Right,
Thinking I'm going to get in
right,
here and I'm
right.
going to do this. It's like,
Right.
then that's not a good fit for anybody.
But it is an important part of government where people can give back to their city.
Yeah. I mean, we're always looking for people to be involved.
Right. Now, what's the process of how somebody applies?
Most of the time with open positions, they just write a letter.
Okay.
Address it to the mayor, to the city hall, and then we gather all the names and go through the qualifications, and a lot of times sit down and have a conversation with them, or a lot of times the individual council members will have conversations with them, and then be able to present it and talk it at the council of
Right.
who we think, and make a motion and second it, and you vote on it, and you're in.
Okay. And so it's like not as time consuming as being on the council, but taking a role in what's happening in your cities. Well, I want to thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming and being on our show and letting people know what's happening in Osseo. So we're glad that you've been with us, and we hope you'll keep with us and keep up with what's happening in our cities. Bye.